Welcome back to the kitchen, everybody. This is your boy Mark, the Mad Chef, and tonight we're doing an adult take on a childhood classic. So when it comes down to the comfort foods we grew up on as kids, there are few items that are more iconic and significant than popcorn chicken. We all grew up eating it and loving it, and now as adults, we are passing on our love of this simple yet important staple to our children who are carrying the legacy of this iconic food on. Now, when we grow up, our taste buds change and expand. So what do you do as an adult who wants to make their inner child happy without sacrificing, quality and or self-respect while eating it? No. That does not mean you go out of your house and go to KFC or Chick-fil-A and get some overpriced chicken nuggets. Okay, you don't do that. Bring it back here, buddy. We're about to level up our popcorn chicken game. I'm going to show you how. Alright, so what I have in front of me are 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I have trimmed, and some of you may be wondering why I am not making this recipe with ground chicken, and you most certainly could, but I do not like the texture of that really finely ground or pre-chewed stuff, so we're going to make ours from whole chicken. We're going to start by cutting our chicken into cubes. Yes, that's me talking to my wife during this voiceover. Starting by cutting our chicken breasts in half, then into strips, and then we're going to shoot for something similar to 1-inch by 1-inch cubes. Alright, so after a few minutes, you should be left with some pieces that look a lot like this. Guys, don't sweat it if it's not exactly a 1 by 1 cube. Think about those processed pre-cubed cheeses that you see in the store. You want something that looks similar to that, as long as it's somewhat a fairly bite-sized piece. Alright, in order to give our popcorn chicken the proper flavor, we've got to do a marinade. So in this bowl is 2 cups of buttermilk, and if you ran out of buttermilk like I did, all you got to do is add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar to 1 cup of milk, and there you go. And we're going to season this up with 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of ground white pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and we're going to whisk that right up. That's right, guys. This is adult popcorn chicken, not PG-13 popcorn chicken, and not even NC-17 popcorn chicken. The chicken nuggets little brother ain't so little anymore. So we're going to put on our gloves, and then we are going to submerge all of our bite-sized chicken pieces into this buttermilk. All right, we're going to set this aside. This chicken needs to marinate for at least, 20 to 30 minutes. Or you can choose to marinate this up to an hour, or if you're feeling extra fancy, you can do this overnight. But guys, don't stress about this. This is popcorn chicken. This is simple, quick, and easy. And also, this gives us time to negotiate our side dish, which is our oven-roasted herbed potato wedges, which was featured in my second video on the channel. And if you haven't yet checked out that video, there'll be a link in the description and a card floating around here somewhere. I'm also preheating my oil at this time to 350, so I'll see you all again when it's time to bread and cook our chicken. Alright, so we already have our potatoes in the oven and our oil is almost up to temp, so it's now time to bread our chickie. In this bowl is 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and we're going to season that right up with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1.5 teaspoons of ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and we're going to give that a nice strong whisk. Now guys, all of this is going to come together really quickly from here. By the time all of our little chickies have been breaded and cooked, our potatoes should be just coming out of the oven or have been sitting out for maybe about a minute or 2. Alright, so from here we're going to put on some gloves, and we're going to extract our chicken from its buttermilk marinade, if I can get these things on my hands. Good Lord. All right, and this next part is a little meticulous. Once we get our chicken out of their marinade in small batches, we are going to assertively press them down into this breading mixture, alternating between pressing, flipping, and tossing into this mixture so we get something that looks like this and is coated on all sides. So we will continue this for all of our pieces. And once everything is said and done, it should look a lot like this. And don't worry about those lightly breaded pieces. I have a plan for them much later on. All right, now we're going back to the real world where I'm actually talking to you while I'm cooking. Our frying oil looks okay, so we're going to add these popcorn chickens in, a small batch at a time. We're going to cook them for about 3 minutes. Now, while you're cooking these, make sure you try to get your spider or whatever pushing utensil you're using to kind of separate these guys. Make sure they don't kind of congeal into one sort of chicken mass. All right, now after 3 minutes, this is what these guys look like. I want to get a cross section of this big one that I obviously didn't cut all the way through. And make sure you guys see that it's fully cooked. And there you go. Perfectly cooked white meat chicken. Now, if you guys want it a little bit darker in color, you certainly can put it on for a little bit longer. But I like it to be light golden brown and crispy, and that's exactly what we have here. We're still going to do this same thing for the rest of our remaining chickens, and I'll see you when it's time for plating and tasting. Would you look at that right there? Have you ever seen popcorn chicken that looks like this? Let's get you a better close-up here. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so I did a little something different while I was cooking it. I did increase the cook time from 3 minutes to 4, just to see what it would do. And guys, I honestly recommend doing it on 4. It gives you a little more crunch without overcooking the interior. Now, if you like a softer chew on your popcorn chicken, kind of like the ones that are served out of the Walmart deli, then you're going to want to go for a 3-minute cook. Either way, you can't go wrong. I would not recommend cooking these guys over 4 minutes because then you're going to kill them. And what's amazing, though, is once these start to cook, if you guys have been around popcorn chicken or the deli or something like that, or if you make it at home from the bag or whatnot, popcorn chicken has a very unique smell. It doesn't really smell like any other kind of chicken. Guys, by just kind of whipping together what I thought I was tasting into both the marinade and in the breading, once it hits that oil and it starts cooking, immediately the whole house starts smelling like that iconic popcorn chicken smell, like when you're walking past like the Walmart deli or when you're cooking it, straight from the bag. It has an identical smell. So it smells, the smells bring you back to when you were a kid. Automatically about a minute or two into the frying cycle, I was starting to get excited because we were actually doing it. So enough jabberjawing. Let's try this stuff. Did y'all actually hear that? 4 minutes, guys. You get the crunch. The interior is moist and juicy. So full of flavor. Alright guys, you can kind of make this without the marinade. I've done it both ways, but it always turns out best with the marinade. It does end up being a little quicker, but you have to set up your breading station a little differently. I mean, guys, honestly, barring the time it takes to marinate this chicken, everything cooks up and is ready within 35 minutes. So quite technically, if you don't count the marination time and the time it takes to make the marinade and cut up the chicken, which only takes just a couple minutes, this can be considered weeknight gourmet. I mean, you can totally change your finger food Fridays, if that's what they're called, if you do something like that. Maybe this should be called Epic Weeknight Dinner Titles with Mark. I don't know. Either way you look at it, we've reimagined the way we look at finger foods. Guys, before you go and spend money on the processed, prepackaged bag stuff, or pay way too much money for restaurant popcorn chicken, please try to make it this way. It satisfies. It's better than anything you'll get out of the box or the bag. And it makes a ton. Honestly, a lot of those little naked-looking chicken bites that were on the baking pan, once all the big pieces were in the fryer, I started rolling around those shallow coated ones into that flour, and it created a better crust on some of those, so we don't really have any naked pieces. So it really wasn't, worth making a whole bunch of batter for. All right, until next time, this is your boy Mark. I'm about to eat, and I'll see you next time.